All right, so I am Joanna Schneider, and this is my Level 3 presentation for EDIT 7200, which is Professional Development Through Technology. So let's first talk about my professional development goals. So I'm at a kind of odd place in terms of having professional development goals because I just finished my 5th year of teaching and I'm, as of this summer, a PhD student here at UGA looking to get my PhD in science education. So I don't really have a profession. So these would maybe be better classed as professional learning goals, but I think they're still applicable. The first one is definitely applicable because I do envision myself back in the classroom at some point. So one of my professional development goals is that I want to learn more about some of the technologies that I've had to just kind of pick up on the fly. So I have a very basic background in programming from my undergraduate degree. I did computational astrophysics, and to an administrator, they say, okay, well, you did computational astrophysics, so you can teach robotics. And then my next principal said, oh, well, you taught robotics, so you can teach engineering. And that's wrong. That's super wrong. I have no background in engineering. Um, I've taught now robotics and I've taught engineering, and I think they're super cool. And I've learned a ton with my students, but I don't have really any formal training. I have a little bit of formal training that I was sent to for robotics, none for engineering. And Arduinos and Raspberry Pis are things that I've had to use and that my students have actually known more about than I have. So I thought that this would be a good chance to try to get some more formal learning about them. If you don't know what Arduinos and Raspberry Pis are, I actually don't know how to pluralize this because it's pi as in pi. There's no E, but it looks so wrong to make it plural without the E. Anyway, if you don't know what these are, a vast oversimplification is that they're two different types of tiny computers. Arduinos are really more of just a signal board, and Raspberry Pis are a genuine tiny computer. And anybody who knows a lot about technology is probably cringing at those definitions, but that's why I want to learn more about them, because I'm not super educated. My second professional development goal has to do with starting my PhD. So I come from a background that's very quantitative, doing physics, doing computational simulations in physics was all very quantitative. You were looking for correct answers and numbers, and now I'm looking to get my PhD in a field that is largely qualitative. Particularly, I've actually already gotten involved in a research project that I think is really interesting and I'm excited about it, but it is all qualitative and I have no idea what that means. So my second goal is to try to learn more about what qualitative research collection looks like, what data analysis looks like for that, so that I don't feel as incompetent as I feel this summer for the whole 4 years of my PhD. I know I'm going to be required to take classes on qualitative research, but I thought this would be a good way to get a head start on that. So, how am I looking to accomplish these two very different things? And the answer to both is MOOCs. I'm going to stop here and make a really corny joke about how am I possibly going to use MOOCs to accomplish my goals because I am a huge tabletop gamer and the connotations I have for the word MOOCs is as bad guys that you kill. That is obviously not what we are talking about here. We are talking about massive open online courses, which are an open access online course that allows for unlimited participation. I'm looking at two of those in particular right now, working through two of those, and I'm going to show you a little bit of each of them. So this is the first MOOC that I'm working on. It's called Arduino. It's through edX, so it's free. It does tell me a lot that it wants me to pay $50 and get a verified certificate that I could put on a resume or show to a future employer. Not going to do that. But it's completely free, and it's called Arduino Programming from Novice to Ninja. I've only fully completed the first week's worth of assignments, but I do intend to go through the whole course. And the course consists of lots of things where you'll go through and there'll be some reading, it'll tell you about things, you look at someone else's code. And then it has you do things yourself. It has two different types of assessments that it uses to track my progress. One is quizzes. I've already taken this quiz. Um, one is quizzes, so you just have its multiple choice questions. I actually haven't taken this quiz, so I'm not going to answer it during this video. I meant to click on the one that I had already taken. The second type, which I think is more interesting, let's go back to the week I've completed, is what's called the task grader, which they have some piece of technology in place that actually grades. You paste in code and it tests your code. This is my code that I successfully submitted. It tests your code to see if it does what it's supposed to, which I think is really cool. There's also apparently going to be peer graded labs, so where we turn in code and then we have to grade each other's code, which I'm not sure how to feel about that because one of my biggest critiques of at least this particular MOOC is one of the things that's supposed to set MOOC apart from like other online professional development is that you're supposed to have other students that are going through the class with you, and there are these message boards where they encourage us to post questions and that kind of thing. And so far, these message boards have been not very useful. There are so many people posting so many different things. I've tried posting, nobody really responded to my posts. I don't know if other people are having that problem. I know for week 2, they said they were going to set up different message boards for different specific questions to try to get answers to people faster. I've been pretty disappointed by that particular aspect of this MOOC. The other really cool thing that this MOOC has, it's actually not related to the MOOC, but it's taught me how to set up circuits in Tinkercad. If you've never used Tinkercad, it is an online piece of software that's free, that's from AutoCAD, and I had played with it before in making all of these are crappy 3D models that I have made to work with 3D printing. But this MOOC taught me that there are actually circuit building inside of Tinkercad. So you can go, it names your files random words, which is kind of hilarious. So you can actually design and then code, and because I'm not a baby, I don't want block code. And you can add other, like we could put, I don't know why we would want a capacitor. We'd probably put like a breadboard, and you can put LEDs and motors, and then you can actually write code and run simulations. So if you don't physically have an Arduino, which I don't at the moment, you can still test your code before you submit it to things like the task grader. So that's been all pretty cool. I've learned a lot. My biggest critique is that it doesn't really feel as personalized as I feel like a MOOC is supposed to. I mean, I know the whole point of a MOOC is that it's massively open, but I did feel like I was still supposed to have like a professor that I knew who that person was, and I super don't. Everything's just kind of typed out. There's not a lot of like videos. And like I said, the interaction with other people on the message board has been very hit or miss. And that's why I want to talk, even though I have experienced less of it, about the MOOC that I'm using for my other professional development goal. So I've been working my way through a MOOC from Coursera that's on qualitative research methods. Because it's from Coursera, it is not all free. I have access to all of the content, but I don't have access to any of the assignments, which makes me kind of sad. They're peer graded assignments, so I feel like that would necessitate a better like peer community than I have in the EDX course, but I don't know for sure because I'm cheap and not willing to spend the money for access to that. I really like this course from Coursera otherwise though. So this guy, he's Dutch. I'm sad that I don't have the paid version of Screencast-O-Matic, so I can't let you guys hear how adorably excited about qualitative research methods he is, but I do just want to show you, like, he is talking about stuff that is so boring to me. But look at him. Look at this. He's gonna be really excited. Look, look at that. Look at that adorable excitement. It's like I'm gonna pay attention because he's being excited. So like all of this, it's all recorded lectures of him being excited, then slides. It actually lets you download if you saw in the background of his in the videos, and sometimes here in the foreground of the videos, he has different slides and you can download those. And then he has references to things that he talks about. And then again, well, that was just about the honor code. Ooh, I actually can look at the assignment, I guess. I just can't actually submit an assignment. That's something I'll investigate more when I'm not already past the time. So these are two actually very different MOOCs that I'm looking at, and I need to rush through this last part since I'm already out of time. I want to talk to you about what the research says about whether these are actually valid methods for professional development. So in terms of literature that I read and how I know for sure that these MOOCs are going to help me fulfill my professional development goal, the short answer is that I don't. So MOOCs are still kind of very unsure about their place in, or people are very unsure about MOOCs' place in education and in professional development. They were a huge deal in like 2012, and then in 2013 people were like, no, they're terrible. And then they've just kind of, there's this pendulum that's been swinging. I found one article that I looked at that said over 90% of people that start a MOOC never finish it. So, and it looked at some reasons why, because that could be make or break professional development. If I never finish the course on Arduinos, that's not going to help me fulfill my professional development goal. I read another article that talked about how the optimism that MOOCs were going to be able to serve as good professional development kind of depended on two major assumptions. The first was that they would be easy to use and to facilitate, and that teachers would actually go through them, which kind of goes back to not dropping out. And then the second assumption was that they were going to make good professional development because it was going to be easy to translate them into new languages and introduce them in new areas. I found at least two articles that looked at specific MOOCs and where it did, in fact, turn out that they worked well. The first was a math teacher MOOC, where they found that it could in fact serve as an effective form of professional development in terms of changing participants' knowledge and or beliefs and having an impact on their practice in a number of ways. Similarly, there was another one that looked at language arts teachers, and the final end result of their study was that there was supportive evidence that the design framework was effective towards promoting teachers' motivation, active engagement, peer interaction and support, and development of learning design abilities to integrate Web 2.0 into their classroom. So there's definitely research to support that MOOCs can be effective professional development, but it's important to note that both of these two studies were MOOCs that were specifically written for teachers. So the MOOCs I'm taking that are not designed for teachers, it's a little less sure, but I think so far that they're doing a pretty good job. Thank you.